Hey, everybody, welcome to episode 8 of the Caught by Happy podcast. Here we are on Thanksgiving week. Aren't you so excited to be kicking off the holiday season? Because I can tell you, I sure as heck am not. I am not a big fan of the holiday season. You know, the traffic and the spending money and the wearing sweaters. It's just all too much for me. But I do love Thanksgiving. I am a big fan of Thanksgiving. I love to eat. I love gravy. I like pie. It's just everything that comes after Thanksgiving that's really just the worst. But hey, you know, if you're like me, the holidays are a little tough for you. We'll hang in there. Let's get through it. I'll see you on the other side. I'll give you a high five in January when we get out of here. But for now, let's just enjoy Thanksgiving. Let's do this. Let's get our eating pants on and stuff our faces. It's going to be great, okay? All right, today on the show, I've got Tony Vescio, Anthony if you're nasty. He's a filmmaker, videographer, actor, writer, whatever you want to call him. I don't even know what he would call himself. You know, as a matter of fact, let me read you his IMDb bio. Anthony has a proven knack for directing. A true cinephile and student of 70s films, his focus lies in capturing honest, authentic performances and making old Hollywood stories with a new Hollywood style. Anthony has directed multiple award-winning short films and continues to work on national ad campaigns. So that's Tony. That's what he's doing professionally. But our conversation went far beyond what's happening in the professional sense. We talked about what it's like really chasing after your dream and doing what you love. And Tony's a guy who is doing what he loves. He's made sacrifices in his life to ensure that he can continue to work in a field that he is so passionate about. We talked about anxiety. We talked about insecurity. We talked about imposter syndrome. We talked about feeling like a fraud. I thank Tony for being so open and honest with me about some of those feelings that he has. I think it's a really good chat, and I think it's like the perfect example of what I want this podcast to be about is, you know, despite all of those forces from outside or from, in Tony's case, the inside forces coming from his own mind, there's still a drive to just do what you love. And as he says, I would be an incomplete person if I didn't do these things. So let's dig into it a little deeper with them, shall we? And just a heads up, if you're listening with kids, we do use some explicit language in this one. All right, here's Tony.
Hey, holy crap. I haven't seen you in 20 years. Jesus.
I know.
That's crazy.
How you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right.
Tell me about this whole thing because I knew you were at,
I was, yeah.
And then did you leave or did you just go out in a blaze of glory?
I wish it was a blaze of glory. I wish it was going out on my own terms, but it was one of those long time coming type of thing, eliminate the position.
Yeah.
The funny thing is that the writing had been on the wall there for about a year. So almost a year ago, I was reorged into the creative department because I was in the communication side and under public relations. So I got reorged into the communications department or to the creative department. And I was like, okay, well, you know, at least I can kind of set forth some of these ideas that I have for creating impactful content. But the powers that be there were still in place from, 30 years before. So they had very antiquated systems they didn't want to change. And it was kind of like, this is the way we do things. This is the way we've always done things. So there was kind of
bitches.
Right. We've been making blenders for 100 years. God damn it.
Yeah. Who the fuck are you, Harrington? I got to imagine that the demographic isn't like millennials and stuff, but if they want to kind of veer towards that,
that's exactly what it was. They were trying to veer towards it. And so, me moving into the creative side was supposed to help that along because I had been creating content for social for 8 years or so. And I was my department was the only department in the entire company that was actually talking to a younger audience.
It just blows my mind.
It doesn't make any sense to me either. And, it's fine. I wish them well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't mean to bring up any hard feelings, but it surprised me when I saw you were doing that. And then you switched over to this. I figured you were just like, well, I'm going to go out on my own and build my little mini enterprise.
So right now what I'm doing, hopefully I'm going to be starting my own content production house, work with brands to create videos, images, whatever they need, podcasts.
It's inexpensive, man. It's democratized now.
I know,
you can shoot on your phone. You can shoot on your phone like this 4K really good for the internet image and not have to have a whole studio behind you.
And getting back to like that old school mindset of, no, everybody thinks they're a photographer because they have a phone. Well, you know what? Yeah, they do. They are.
Sure. But you know what kills me about that is that nobody, people have that thought, and it's mostly established people that don't want to give up like those gigs. And so instead of them transitioning to something else or pivoting, they hold that same thought. But nobody says that about like the newest Instant Pot that comes out, or like any sort of cooking utility, or things that make it easier to repair your car. Nobody's like, oh, you're the next fucking mechanic, man. Look at you got a wrench set. But it just happens to be with content like this.
Right. I agree.
It's weird. And, like you made the pivot.
Trying.
But you are. I mean, you got this going on, and this gets you out there, and it's cool. It's cool that you get to do, especially get to be at home, that you get to do something creative like this.
This is really just like a precursor to what I want to do next with podcasts, because I've never done this before. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, I don't have,
I think it's incredibly polished. It's fantastic. But you're doing something good. Listen, even if you don't have the caveat of like, this is my first time doing this, even if you take that away, it's a great podcast. Like me personally, like I don't have to hear that and be like, okay, he's doing a good enough job. Like it's a fantastic podcast. I think it's great.
Awesome. Thank you.
So,
well, let's stop talking about me, because this podcast isn't about me.
It's been 20 years. I mean,
I know it has.
It's weird.
You know what's funny is weird. I was recently up in New York in Wilson, and I drove by the school, and I was there's a couple of names up in that bell tower.
Holy shit!
You remember?
I forgot about that. Yeah. And didn't Stack catch us, Mr. Stack? Or like...
They all caught us.
Yeah. Those are fun.
It was the last day of school, and we snuck up to the roof, and we carved our names in the bell tower, and we ended up getting suspended the very last day of school.
Didn't we have like a plan of like lowering you down?
No, not me.
Like...
we were going to lower something. Then? We were going to lower a banner outside of Mr. Stack's window.
Yes, that's what it was. Holy crap! You pushed out some pertinent information in your life to remember that. You're like, I don't remember my second kid's birthday, but I can tell you about this time.
Yeah. Oh, I have no short-term memory, but those like moments stick out in my mind for sure.
Those were the good old days.
But I got to tell you, like 5-6 years ago, I was sitting on my couch holding one of my children, baby, and I'm flipping through the channels, and then I see you on TV, on some American Pickers type show. What was that show?
It was called Garage Gold, and it was which is actually, this is very funny. The guy, so it was based out of Raleigh, North Carolina, and it's an actual guy's business that he goes to people's houses, cleans out a room, doesn't really charge them, and he gets to keep the stuff and resell it. And the production company saw a short film I did. I was living down there. I was living in Winston-Salem at the time. I was working for a marketing company, ad agency. I did a short film, and I directed and acted in it, and we put it up on Vimeo, and they saw it, and they're like, hey, you're a funny fat guy. You do pratfalls and stuff. They didn't know that I was a behind-the-scenes person. It was a production company based out of New York City. And what I think they did was they went on Vimeo, and they just hashtagged North Carolina and just looked at videos of people from North Carolina. And I just happened to have it hashtag. And it was like a comedic performance. They had like a lot of pratfalls and stuff. And then they called me up. They're like, are you interested in doing this? I'm like, well, first of all, I'm not an actor. And second of all, I just moved back home to take a job with the Buffalo Sabres. And they're like, well, we can get around that. It's fine. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, so then they just flew me out like on the weekends to be a part of this team.
Really?
Yeah. And I just had to like make it seem like I was a worker there. So I just played like the big dumb idiot. And it was great.
How long did you do it?
4 seasons. And then I quit to come work where I am now. And they did a 5th season with somebody else. And then they
couldn't do it without you. Failed.
Nope. I just drained it of everything. These people had dreams of fame, and I killed it.
That's absolutely crazy that you were just going to call out of the blue to be put on the show.
Yeah, it just goes to show like hashtag everything you do, because you never know when someone from New York City is going to call you. It was fun. We got to go around. We went to Dallas for 2 episodes. We would go to like Charlotte. We went to South Carolina. It's reality TV, so it's 100% fake.
Did you get to know those guys pretty well though?
Yeah, Craig, the owner, I got to know pretty well. The other guy that worked with me, Ron, he's from Syracuse.
Well, so tell me, how, like back in high school, you and I both were like kind of into acting, but you were really you were like a film buff. You were a big time film buff.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So what happened? How'd you keep that going?
I sacrificed like a lot of other things in my life. I realized that that's what I wanted to do. So I just kind of said, well, I'm going to go all in and not have a backup plan. And, that really backfired. So
Was that pretty much right after high school?
yeah, yeah. I'm just like, well, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be either an actor or a filmmaker. And I went to NCCC for 1 year. I'm like, well, I'm just gonna go here for a little bit, and then I'm gonna move down to New York City when I save up some money. Halfway through, I'm just like, well, this is stupid. Like, I'm just gonna go out and make my own stuff. And then I just kind of taught myself like editing, taught myself cinematography, just slowly did it. And what I didn't do was I didn't take advantage of situations presented to me. I waited too long to do stuff.
What
Because
do you mean?
it's hard to say, because when I became a parent, I'm sure you probably had the same feeling. It's hard for you to look back on everything you did right before those kids were born and regret anything, because any one of those small decisions wouldn't get you your kids now.
Right. Yes,
Right.
I understand.
So it's difficult when I get very introspective and like anxiety ridden and depressed. I think back like, oh, I should have done this. I should have done that. I'm like, well, then I wouldn't have my kids, and
Yeah.
I need their me at some point, so I might as well. I wasted a lot of time just screwing around on stuff instead of saying, well, I'm going to go out and make this movie. I'm going to go out and make that movie. I didn't make my first feature until I was like 32.
Well, what were you
And
passing
the
up?
entire time, just opportunities. Like somebody would be like, hey, do you want to film this? And I'd be like, yeah. And then I would make up an excuse as to why I couldn't do it. And then I would get depressed for 3 months because I'm like, oh man, nobody wants to hire me as a cinematographer, or nobody can see that I can direct, and nobody's getting me for directing stuff. And the problem was that I just wasn't taking advantage. I wasn't going out and I wasn't doing it.
Was it because you didn't
And,
want to do it, or was it because you were kind of like insecure about your?
I was afraid. I was
Yeah.
100% afraid. I mean, I've been afraid my whole life of stuff like that. Rejection. Nobody wants to get rejected.
Of course.
So it was, well, if I don't do it, I can't get rejected. And it's easier to deal with being depressed because I can just eat instead of like being rejected. Because what am I going to do? Go do heroin or something? Like, just give me these chicken finger subs. I can drown my sorrows in that.
Well, at some point you decided to start saying yes to things, right?
Yeah. So I met my partner, the person that I work with now, like, I don't know, maybe 15 years ago. And we just started doing short films, and we just kept working, churning them out. And he would really push me to, like, he wouldn't let me quit. I tried quitting many times. He wouldn't let me quit. And then, we would win awards after a while. And then it eventually worked up to us being able to make a feature. And we did crowdfunding. We were the first fully crowdfunded film in Buffalo, which, now isn't a big deal. But back then it was 2007. We got $10,000 to make a movie based solely on our crowdfunding. That's pretty big.
So what kind of shorts were you doing? And what was your role? Were you just shooting, or were you writing?
So for the shorts, we did like a lot of 48-hour shorts. That's where you get like a genre and other stuff in 48 hours. You got to make it. I would do some writing, but it was mostly directing. And then some of them towards the end, I would act in them instead of directing.
Yeah.
Mostly because like the idea centered around like a putsy fat guy that, you could laugh at. All my roles are based around my weight. My weight and my falls, because it's always fun to see a fat guy fall.
Right. You're like the Chris Farley of Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly. Nobody calls me for, hey, can you play a romantic role? It's, can you do something funny?
All right. Well, tell me about the feature then.
I just purely directed that. And what we did was we went like kind of a thriller route. It was about a musician who lost his girlfriend, and then his whole world kind of came crashing down. And this was like the big thing. Like, this was it. This was going to make us big and famous. And it turned out to be bad. The movie itself isn't bad, but what happened with it not going anywhere was pretty bad, which was pretty defeating. But
What year was
when you're
this?
doing it, we made it 2007 into 2008, and then it was quote unquote released in 2009. But when you're doing it, you're just like, this is fantastic, man. Somebody has paid me to do what I want to do. Like, how great is that? It's not even like I'm required to do this because it's my job. Literally, these 30 or 40 people gave us money to go out and make a movie. That's insane. That's crazy. Like, those people are stupid. Like, why would you do that? Why would you give me money? And they did. And what an amazing thing.
Were they happy with the outcome?
Some were. Some I don't think even watched it. But from the screenings that we had like really good screenings. We had a couple awards that we won for acting because the acting is, I think, fantastic in it. The problem though was that was my last feature, and it's been all this time, and all I do is beat myself up over the fact that like I haven't made another one. Making a feature isn't impressive. Making the second one is what's impressive.
So do you have plans to make a second one?
I do, but it's money. It's how it. Maybe you don't know how it is, but you find you find those little excuses. Like, oh, you know what? My kids, like, oh, maybe my wife won't let me go out and do it. All these little things that you can just kind of point to and say, yeah, sorry, I got my kid's basketball practice tonight. Like, well, why don't you ask your wife to take them? Well, why don't you ask your fucking wife?
No, there's always an excuse. And it's always a legit excuse. But at some point, you gotta. Well, it seems like a legit excuse, but at some point, you have to come up with a real reason to not choose that excuse.
Exactly, because I think what happens, or I know what happens with me, is that it'll be like a year and a half later, and I'll be like, oh crap, man, a year passed by. It's not. I wanted to do this 1 month ago. It's holy crap, I wanted to do this 1 year ago.
Right. And if you think you were depressed a year ago, you're going to be even more depressed now because you didn't do it.
Exactly. And especially, I'm 41 now, which blows my mind. And then you start to think to yourself, kind of like we were just saying, this other generation of people is coming up and they're using their phones or they're making TikTok. Like, kids love TikTok. It's not that I don't understand it. It's just that I get afraid of like, oh my God, is this the future? Is this the future, like 30-second to 1 minute pieces of content? Like, I'm not structured to that. I can't do that. I need this, I need time. I need to create these stories, and so that makes me afraid. And again,
even if you decide that you do want to use TikTok, like what are you going to be when you show up in somebody's feed as the 41-year-old guy?
Exactly. Hey kids, I'm cool.
Does it feel authentic enough? Does it feel like you? Are you going to be happy doing that?
No, I'm not. I mean, my kids will probably let me know. Like, it's the worst idea ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's difficult. I kind of transitioned a couple years ago, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. I started to get really heavy into Buddhism, and I studied it a lot, and I still am nowhere near where I want to be with it. But it kind of changed me in what what was important to me creatively. And I kind of realized that, when I do die, which I'm convinced is every single hour, I want to die feeling that I created things that made a difference. So I started to shift more over to like documentaries, and like that's what I specialize in now. To me, that's great. Like, you tell a story, you get to literally be influencing somebody, whether it's they hate it and they're just like, well, screw you, man, I'm going to go and do the opposite of that, or they're going to take up the cause for it. I think that's fantastic. I think if somebody hates something and they want to rally against it, good. It gave them purpose for however long in their life.
You caused a reaction in somebody.
Yeah. Isn't that great? Like, just maybe it's egotistical, but that you left that mark. Everybody, you wouldn't be doing this if like a part of you didn't want to leave a mark.
Oh no, you're absolutely right. I mean, I do this because I feel like I have to.
Yes. Right. Yes. I agree 100%. Like, and that's not right. Right. Like, you just kind of think to yourself like, well, there's a little bit that just something's not right about me that I feel that to do that.
For me, I'm coming to terms with the fact that I'm doing this because I'm trying to find in other people what I need to hear.
Sure. Oh,
you know what I mean?
That's fantastic. That's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you, because you and I were very, very much into films and acting back when we were kids. Mm-hmm. And you kind of went on that path where you followed it. And it sounds to me like the Buddhism aspect of it, that's pretty interesting. It's kind of,
I mean, that was huge. That was huge for me. It
and it took did it kind of like take away your anxiety about the whole like not doing features or turning down jobs?
It did. There's always a part of me that isn't right, and it never will be. I have to take medication for a lot of things. I'm bipolar, so I have all these obviously mental problems that will never go away. But what the Buddhism did was help me say to myself, like, okay, so you can admit that you're broken, you can admit there's something wrong with you, and you don't have to use it as a crutch, or you can understand why you're doing something. So you can recognize those fears, and you can be it's just like everyone says, you can be mindful of what's going on. But it allows me to say, okay, so I have 36 ideas and I'm not going to do any of them, but I'm still going to hold on to those 36 ideas. And I'm only going to beat myself up 80% about not doing them instead of the full 100%, which would cause me to go do something stupid then, which would cause me to, like overeat or do something that inflicts emotional harm on me.
And how is the Buddhism kind of helped with like just personal life?
I think it makes you, I think the idea of Buddhism makes you step back and really examine your relationships that you have with everybody. And everybody presents an opportunity, right? Like with my kids, it's that perfect opportunity of I'm going to hopefully mold them into being like just a good person. I just want them to be a good person. As long as they're a good person, like, and just doing good in the world, that's important to me. Opportunity with like my wife. My wife is a little stauncher. She's towards the right side of being a Republican, and being able to, instead of just saying like you're an idiot, stop being like that. You're stupid. I hate that you support Trump. Blah 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 blah. It gives me the opportunity to look at those feelings and try to engage her in a real conversation.
Wow.
And politely tell her she's stupid. So instead of just going full board, I can find a nice way.
Man, that's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, she's gotten better.
All right, tell me about the documentary. So you switched gears and you started focusing on documentaries. And
so I started doing documentaries, and I would do like little docs here and there. I did a lot of stuff around Buffalo about people. And like, when you create something, what do you say? Do you say it's more important for me to entertain with this, or it's more important for me to have some truth to this so I don't feel like I'm lying to the person?
Which one's more important? It depends on what I'm doing. But lately, I would say the truth is more important to me than pure entertainment value.
Do you think it's because of age?
Because of what?
Because you're older now? Do you think it's because you have a family? Is it because it's something that you haven't found yourself?
I don't know. I really don't know. I just feel like, to me, it's more important to just put myself out there, or put something out there that is honest, that is 100% like earnest and authentic to whatever it is I want to put out there. Because normally I rely on jokes and being funny and the entertainment value as a cover up for something else, because I don't want to,
right.
Expose the honesty. But I'm trying to show the honesty and be honest with whatever I do.
Did that come on all at once, or was that just like a slow progression?
It's always been there, but I didn't decide to do it until recently.
Huh? Because that's what I wouldn't guess from you. I just from when we were together, like I would imagine you just didn't care about like those opinions, or that you just you were definitely more free flowing with.
Well, maybe that's another part of it, because when I was younger, when I was a kid, like you're right, I didn't care. And then maybe it was the whole family thing about trying to be a little bit more serious.
God, families ruin everything. If I had all the joy of a family,
got to start making money. You got to start earning a living. You got to be a real member of society at some point. But
it's horrible.
Big things happen. You lose a job, or you have a death in the family, or you lose something. Something happens that makes you realize that you're only on this earth for a little bit, and you got to do what feels right to you. You don't want to go to your grave hiding your true self.
Do you think it's weird that a lot of these major life events that really shape you as a person don't happen until you're much older?
I think they happen all the time. I think they happen,
really?
Once a decade, couple times a decade. I mean, I've had major things that happen in my life that kind of shifted the way I've thought about things, or the way I try to engage with people. What about you? You don't think that way?
I don't know if I've really had that. I've had like a grandparent die or something like that, but I don't know how different life would have been if I would have had more traumatic or more emotional things happen. Like I've lost a job before, but it's just a job. Who cares? When I quit the Sabres, I was like, well, I just kind of quit my dream job, but it's not affecting me. So I've never really had that. And I just wonder, I had, the only thing I had, my father-in-law died, and I became a hypochondriac after that, actually, which really messed me up.
You became a hypochondriac because of his death? Yeah,
we got a phone call from the hospital. They're like, you need to come in, because he was there overnight for something. And like, you need to come in. He's not doing well. And between driving from our house 15 minutes away, he died. And we got in there like, oh yeah, unfortunately he passed away. before that in my life, the only people that died were grandparents who, they were just like 70 something. And you're like, this is sad, but you're 70 years old. I've only known you for so long. This guy was a guy that died when he was like 53 or something. And you're just like, holy shit, death is there. It can happen. It can happen to anybody. Oh my God, why it's going to happen to me? At that point on, I became a hypochondriac, and it drove so much still does so much of my anxiety and in life. Whenever I leave to go work out of town, I hug my kids extremely tight, and I convince myself that I'm going to die in that hotel room by myself, and the staff isn't going to find me for like 5 days. Every time, bar none, I've convinced myself that it's the last time I'm going to come back home. I'm going to die in that hotel room.
God,
it's messed up, man. Yeah, it's
and is that just like debilitating to you the whole time you're traveling?
Yeah.
Do you think about it the whole time you're out there doing whatever it is you're doing?
I do. If I drive someplace, I drove down to when I was in Maryland last weekend. I drove down, and I had to make sure that like every once in a while I saw like a signpost, like a mile marker or something, because I knew that I'm going to have a heart attack while I'm driving by myself, and I need to know where I am so I can call 911. And that just dictates my entire life.
How do you mitigate that? How do you deal with it? Because you can't just say, well, this is my life.
You do. I do. I take medication. It sucks, man. It does a little bit. It keeps like the panic attacks at bay, but it's also, I need to make better decisions. I quit smoking last year, which was great. I was a hypochondriac that smoked and overate. I mean, that doesn't tell you,
because if it's going to do you in, at least you know what it's going to be. Well, I smoke. Of course I'm having a heart attack. Right?
Yeah, exactly. It's almost as if it's like, well, see, I told you.
Right.
All these years you told me I'm not having a heart attack. Like, and then you just realize how fucking childish that is. Not a heart attack. I don't want to die. I don't want to prove anybody right.
Well, you did the right thing by quitting, right? So you took a step there. Yeah. But now you're worried that, you're still going to develop lung cancer at some point.
Yeah. Or like heart attack or, cholesterol.
Right. And
no matter how many tests I go through, it doesn't matter.
I mean, we all will. It's not just you. We're all going to develop some kind of shit, or we're all going to get hit by a bus, or we're all going to have a heart attack in a hotel room sometime.
But I don't want that. I don't want
it. I know. I hear you.
I've said many times, and this is such a horrible thing to say, but I've said many times, I want to see everybody around me die. Like I want to go to the funerals of every single family member just to know that I'm still living.
So as much as you antagonize yourself and agonize over the prospect of death, you're afraid that you don't want to die. You don't want to die.
No, I know. I cannot imagine. I'm not smart enough to understand the concept of there not being a next something, right? Not having another day, not having like another pancake, not just the fact that there's no next blows my mind. And I see people here, I see people here at work that patients that they're just like, yeah, I had a headache, and next thing you know, I have glioblastoma. Like, that's cool. Killed Gord Downey, so you don't have much of a chance. Like,
right.
Cool. I'm so glad that I do this. It's messed up.
Tell me where you work, first of all.
So I work at Roswell Park Cancer Center, and I'm a video producer here. I produce commercials, little documentaries, stuff like that. But that requires us to talk to patients a lot.
Right.
And sometimes you'll interview a patient on Friday, and then you'll go back Monday to re-talk to them. You'll be like, oh, yeah, that person isn't here anymore. The person just died. That person died over the week.
Right. And someone with your anxiety about the whole thing, how do you do that every day? How do you come into work there every day? Does it help? Does it hurt?
I think it motivates me. It really motivates me to work harder to, either get that person's story out there or do something, tell a story that raises more money. It raises more money than it would have been had I not made that. And that money goes towards critical research, or it goes towards making patient care better. And that actually gives me purpose in life. I want to make sure that I do the best thing that I can. I can tell the truest story. And then boom, next thing you know, we raised $50,000.
How long have you been working there?
This is my 4th year.
4 years. Before that, you were with the Sabres?
I was with the Sabres, and then I did the TV show in between that. I mean, I loved the Sabres, and that was during the even worse time than they are now.
Right. It's that's like one of my dream jobs. I've always told Jessica that if I got a job at Pagula Sports and Entertainment doing communications or whatever it is, production, content creation, whatever it is, we're moving. We're taking the family. We're going. That's the only way I'd move back to Buffalo is if I got a job with that company.
We work with that company. We work with them on a bunch of different things. It's, they have PSC, then they have like their own ad agency called Pick Six, and like they're just so talented. They're so talented over there. It makes me extremely jealous, but also gives me like a good bar to work towards. But man, the content those guys produce is really good.
Are they in Buffalo?
So they are. Did you go to a Sabres game?
I just went to one a few weeks ago.
Yeah, when you came up, right? Did you see the Labatt Brew House? Did you pass by that?
Yeah.
They're above that.
Oh, really?
Their entire company is above them in that area, which is actually a really cool little place. Yeah, they got state of the art everything. Everything is amazing for them. And they do besides the Bills and Sabres stuff, they do like a bunch of new era stuff. It's Pagula, so they got a nice little reach to what they do. But yeah, I mean that's a dream job, man. It bummed me out to pass up on it, especially knowing where they are now.
Why did you pass up on it? Why did you quit that job?
Because I thought the show was going to take me farther. And at that point in my life, I was still holding out hopes for doing a second movie. And I thought, well, maybe, such a stupid thing to think, maybe if my little reality show on the DIY network gets more people, I can get a directing job. And obviously that was just the stupidest thing to think of. So I left it to concentrate on the TV show. When I left and I realized, like, oh my God, I just left the Buffalo Sabres. I couldn't get it back.
Did you try?
I did, yeah. And they were just like, we kind of filled the spot. Because I would have to leave every once in a while to go do the show, and I don't think they appreciated that. Plus, I wasn't on medication, so I think that they got annoyed with some of my
Thank God he's gone.
Exactly. Oh, God, that Vescio guy. Now we can start winning.
Well, I want to talk to you about the some of the docs that you've been doing, and I saw one that you just recently published, or you recently posted about the New York State. What is it? Tell me about it.
The Empire State Ride. That was pretty amazing. So every year, Roswell does the Ride for Roswell. It's this big day-long cycling event. But in the past couple of years, they started something else called the Empire State Ride, where a group of riders start in New York City, and then they ride up into Niagara Falls through the entire week. So it's over 500 miles, 7 days. It's pretty interesting. It's also very difficult because you're averaging like 90 miles a day. So I started doing it with them since I started here. And I was just compiling footage, not really knowing what to do with it. And then I came across this idea. We're like, let's just tell the story of a couple people, right? Let's find 2 or 3 really good people. And I worked with my boss, Ben, who was like supportive beyond belief for it. And then it was just a matter of like writing it and putting it together. Like, it's just a lot. It's a lot of footage. Almost every year I would shoot about 1 terabyte of footage. That's just a lot. I mean, 1 terabyte of footage is hours upon hours upon hours. We paired with that guy who said was my partner. He works up here now for a post-production company. We paired with them, and he edited it, pared it down, and made a doc that I'm pretty proud of. It's done really well. It's played film festivals, won some awards. More than that, it just told like these 2 really good stories, like these really good stories of these people.
Yeah, and these are people who are riding. Well, I remember the one she was riding because of her in memory of her sister who passed.
Yeah, her sister died of breast cancer, and then the guy, his mother, died of brain cancer. She had brain cancer for like the 3rd time. They were just so motivated, and they just got out there and did it.
Right, and it's not an easy ride. It's not like New York's a flat landscape.
Yeah, right. No. And some days, how it is in the summer, like you'll get 199-degree day, and then like 2 days later, it's like 70 and raining nonstop. Yeah. And they do it without complaining. It's
not like these people are like Olympic level cyclists, right?
No, there was a guy, and I hate to say this, there was a dude that was heavier than me that did it. And you're just like, oh my God, dude, you're going up these inclines that are insane. And you're just doing it like it's nothing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's cool. Yeah, it's really cool. And the sense of accomplishment that they must feel at the end is just.
They're surrounded by family, and it's something that when you experience it, you're just like, wow, these people did this for a reason. These people had purpose. To be lucky enough to capture that is pretty cool. It's definitely one of the highlights of my life.
You did this for for Roswell, or was this something that you just did?
We did.
kind of
I
on-
actually did it for MSG, and
Okay.
MSG is going to air it next month. I'm pretty sure.
People who want to see this thing, where can they go see it if they don't get MSG?
You can see it on the Empire State Ride Facebook page. I can't put it up on like my personal stuff until it airs on MSG.
Okay.
But Facebook and just look for Empire State Ride. It's in that feed.
Well, what do you do? What are you doing personally? Are you doing any projects from a personal standpoint that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I have two narrative things lined up, and then I have one documentary that I want to do about the idea of Buffalo being like this new artisanal place. Like, have you kind of heard any of this stuff? How we've had like this explosion of craft beer and
I don't think that's unique to Buffalo. I think that's everywhere.
it is, but I think for like this steel city, you know, this city that was just shit for the longest time, and this is kind of what revitalized it. Like all these microbreweries that popped up. I have good friends that opened up a fermentation shop. Like it's fucking fermentation. Sorry, it's a fermentation shop in Buffalo. Like that's would be unheard of years ago.
The city has definitely had a resurgence over the past 5 to 8 years or so. It's just from what I've seen from afar whenever I go to visit.
I think they said last year or 2 years ago, I'm sure I'm going to get it all wrong, was like the first time that people actually were coming back to Buffalo instead of there being like a decline, which is pretty cool.
That for sure. Yeah. So kind of got a sense for what you're doing now, but what has your inspiration been over time, or a person or experience? What's your major inspiration?
I think it's tough to answer without sounding like the traditional cliched artist. But when you're in a field like this, you know, as you know, when you're in that creativity field, you have that thing that just keeps gnawing away at you. Truthfully, deep down, I don't know how to do anything else. Right. So I don't know. I have no great skill for when the apocalypse happens. I can't come over and fucking fight off zombies or stuff like that. I can record it for you and show it to the tribe at night, but I don't know how to do anything else.
You know, that's funny you say that, because one of the things that I've noticed a lot with some of the people that I've spoken to who are kind of like following their dreams or following their passions, whatever it is, they've all said the same thing. I can't do anything else.
Yeah. It's not a bad thing, but it's also not a good thing, right? I think I'm very lucky, and I know a lot of other people here are very lucky to wake up and be like, yeah, I'm doing what I want to do, right? I might not be doing what I want to do for like Hollywood, or I might not be doing what I want to do in filmmaking wise, but you know, I get to tell a story. People are paying me to tell a story, and at the end of the day, regardless of my insecurities, I'm really good at what I do, and people enjoy what I make. That's awesome, right? Like that's cool. 20 plus years to like finally be like, oh yeah, this isn't bad. And a lot of people that I know, like they're very lucky to be doing what they're doing. No dig at anybody whatsoever, but I don't have to go work for a cubicle job.
Yeah.
Because I'm fortunate enough to be doing what I want to do. That's awesome, right?
But like it's completely awesome. And you know, a lot of people, there's a lot of emphasis put on getting that cubicle job just so you could, you know, be part of the status quo and get your paycheck and do what society tells us that we're supposed to be doing. But having the ability, the talent, and the wherewithal to be okay within yourself to go do what you love, and then be happy actually doing it, not looking at that cubicle job like, oh man, if only I could go home at 5 o'clock and not have to think about anything until tomorrow at 9.
Exactly. And you know how it is. Like there's times where you get like that, where maybe you're at the office at midnight and you're like, God.
Right. Or no, like, you know, when you're doing this type of stuff, when you're doing creative stuff, I'm sure you sit, and I think you have to have anxiety and a little bit of something going on up here. Like you said before, there's something wrong with us, right?
Yes.
Because you're sitting up at midnight sometimes thinking about, you know, your next day's work or like how you can make something better. Or
I got into a literal shouting match with my office mates, my friends. They could hear it all down the hall. I got into a shouting match over the construction of a joke that I had written. They just like weren't getting it. Not saying that maybe the joke was good, maybe it wasn't good, but they just weren't getting it. And I got so angry and I was so impassioned about it. And I'm just like, you don't understand it. It hits the mark here. It hits the mark here. It hits the mark here. What is wrong with you people? Looking back on it at night when I got home last night, I'm just like, man.
It was a shitty joke though, wasn't it? You got to explain it.
It was not a good joke, but I felt so impassioned by it. And I felt like this is my hill. I'm going to die on this hill because this joke is clever and it's amazing and blah blah blah. And you're right. You get home and you're like, man,
Right.
first of all, it wasn't a good joke.
But how great is it to be working in an environment where you can have those types of arguments?
Sure. Well, yeah.
Instead of just having to say, yes, sir, you're right. My joke was not very good. I'm going to go back to my desk now.
Just lay your head down. I'm going to go die in the corner. I'm very lucky in that my boss lets me go in and talk to him like that. I can go in and I can argue my case, and he would 100% be like, okay, if you feel that passionate about it, it's on you. And if it fails, it's on you. But you go ahead and do it. 9 times out of 10, it works. Can I tell you a quick story?
Yeah.
Last year, every year we do a t-shirt. We have a new t-shirt for our employees here. And we did a t-shirt reveal video. And last year we were talking about, like, let's just do something different. It's always stale. It's always with the CEO. You know, she's great. She'll let us do anything, but let's just like really try something out. So me and another guy here named Pete, we came up with an idea of doing a home shopping network. It's me and him, and we're just going back and forth. And it turned out to be really funny, really, really funny. We're just like, okay, that's great. We created this really funny thing, and that's the end of it. And then a couple months ago, the head of HR came to our boss, and she's like, listen, that t-shirt video was really funny. People aren't checking their emails. The 2 guys that did that, can you get them to create a video for us to make people to check your emails? And Pete and I were just like, oh, that's kind of cool. Someone's asking us to do it. We sat down and we came up with this extremely ludicrous idea of the HR department needs people to check their emails. So they came up with a campaign, and they came up with a HR mascot. And the mascot is called the Ben E. Fitz. And he comes out and he tries to get you to sign up for your emails and stuff like that. And the whole point of it is that he's absolutely hated. He's hated and he's disrespected, and everybody just spits on him and abuses him. The interesting part of this is that we said, okay, so in the middle, we want to have a montage where he's being trained by other mascots. Can you set it up so that he can film with Buster Bison and he can film with Sabretooth? And we said that to Ben, our boss, and Ben goes, okay, let me check. He calls in to the Sabres and he calls into the Bisons, and they both say, yes, you can do it. You can use our mascots. So we went and shot with their mascots, like this training montage. And it wasn't until afterwards I thought about it. I was like, okay, so our boss went to the Buffalo Sabres, and said, listen, I got this really stupid thing that I need to do where we have this completely ludicrous mascot, and we need him to act alongside your NHL mascot.
Right.
And then, they replied back to him. They're like, yeah, you guys make really good stuff. We like what you guys do. No problem. I was thinking about that. Like, that's really cool. That's cool. They believe in him to do that. But then when I thought about it further, it just dawned on me, like, holy shit, he believed in us enough to actually approach an NHL organization to be like, we have this completely stupid idea. Will you work with us?
Right. For an internal video that nobody's going to see.
Nobody's going to see it. Just the people here. And even then, maybe like 200 out of the couple thousand that we have. That was a great feeling. Like that was a real big boost to my self-esteem. You get little things like that along the way, and you're like, okay, well, it's affirming that maybe I'm not that bad. Maybe I'm more than just being pratfall guy.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. I've had moments like that as well. Not so much that my boss was calling the head of the Sabres, but but no, like I was able to kind of dictate my own path and produce some things that I was really proud of. But at the end of the day, they were really just kind of for our little department and our little group, and other people would take note of it, and we'd get called out in front of the entire company on how great it was, and they'd show it and they'd ask us to do even more things for different departments. And so I know what you mean. Like, it's definitely a great feeling to have somebody acknowledge what you're doing as valuable, as interesting, as funny, as entertaining. It validates to this feeling that I have inside of me of like, I'm just playing around, I'm having fun. And it puts like more of a, wait, it's more than fun. It's actually like worth something.
And it's also that idea of like, holy crap, someone's paying me to do this. Out of everything I've ever made, I would say there's probably 3 things that I like. It's with every creative person. Like, I don't like my own stuff. I think it's horrible. When it comes to little things like that, where there's not a huge audience, where there's maybe a small amount of people, but they really like it, like they really get it. That's when I feel good. That's when I feel like, okay, I did something good.
So what in your catalog are you most proud of?
I did a short silent film one time. Like, I think it's hilarious. I love it. And nobody else likes it. But I'm like, this is really funny. It's a silent film. It's about 2 two homeless doomsday people that try to one up each other when the world's going to end. It's like one person's holding up a sign like the world ends in 83 days, and the other person holds up a sign the world ends in 82 days, and they just kind of keep one upping each other until it finally counts down to the end of the world, and it doesn't happen until 1 minute later. So they stop and they're like, "Oh, okay, well, let's shake hands." Then boom, the world ends. So it's stupid, right? It's like a stupid little idea. I think it's things like that, like small little things that I've done that aren't supposed to be good. You're like, okay, there's something to it. There's some heart. There's something fun. I mean, I'm proud of that stuff. I'm proud of the small things the little orphans that don't make it.
Do you ever think about going back to those things and expanding on them, or
probably not? Because
done.
Yeah, I'd be like, well, that was actually good. If I add one more thing, it's not going to be good. This is my
George Lucas it.
No. Do you run into this? Out of all the other anxieties you have, do you find that you are ever afraid of being outed as a fraud?
Well, that's another thing that I wanted to talk to you about, actually. Yeah, for sure.
Being a fraud, yes, I know. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know how much we're driven by those insecurities, right? Like, if that was your fuel, how much of that is your fuel on any given day? Worried about being like exposed as a fraud, or somebody being like, "Oh, that was good, but wasn't as good as your last one." So you just sit there and think to yourself, like, "Oh God, well, crap, what did I do in the last one?" And if that's the case, what if that last one was the greatest? It was like the best thing I'll ever make, and that's it. Like, great, it's all downhill now. Is it? I wonder if it's because when you create something, you put so much of yourself into it. So like you're vulnerable, like not many other people are.
And if they don't like it, that means they don't like you.
Exactly, they don't like you, and why should that matter, right? Like, why should that matter? But you know what's funny is with the TV show, I used to get hate mail.
And did that bother you?
No, I love, but I think maybe it's because it wasn't me, right? Like it was a character, and I loved the fact that they were making fun of a character. I don't know. Or if you go on Amazon where they're selling the show, every once in a while you'll see like a bad review of like, that Tony guy's an idiot. I wouldn't keep him employed.
Right.
Oh no shit, dude. Like, out of all the things I break, would any normal person keep me employed? Like, but yeah, I would get, you're suck, you're stupid. God, why are you such a stupid fat idiot? I just couldn't help but laugh.
The difference is, though, was when you're doing something that you're putting all of yourself into, you're not hearing "you suck, you're stupid, you're an idiot." That's just what you're telling yourself. That's what you're thinking.
Right.
I suck, I'm stupid, I'm an idiot. So it's not so much what other people think. It's really what you think of yourself. And that's just, I think that's part of being a creative person, is that, to you, there's always going to be something that you can do to make it better. It's a weird thing. I think it's not so much that you're worried about what other people think. I think it's you don't like yourself. It's not that other people don't like you, it's that you don't like yourself. And if you really feel that way about something you've spent a lot of time on, that you hate it that much, I don't know. I think it says more about your inner mind than the other person's.
That's another thing too, is time, right? It's like nothing that we do is done in a 9-to-5 setting, right? I don't think I've ever done something where I don't think I've ever written a script. I've definitely never edited a piece where I'm able to start it in the morning at 8:00 and okay, I'm done by 4:00. Like, it's not. You put time into it, right? Like, you invest mental strength, you invest emotional, and some things. Like, how long does it take you to edit a podcast?
Depends on how much I got to cut out. Like this one, I have to cut out a lot of shit.
It's just all jump cut to everything. So let's say it takes you like 2 weeks, like 2-3 weeks to edit.
Yeah, it'll take a couple days,
Okay, well, I grossly
a couple days without, like total, it'll take me about a week, yeah.
So it's a week, but it's a week that you're living with that thing, right? And like you're creating it, and then after however long it is, a half hour, 40 minutes, somebody can critique it like that, and you're just like, shit, man, I poured a week of my life into it, a week that.
No, I know, and what I'm trying to do is just let it go and be like, as soon as I upload it to where it's got to go, I try to be done with it. I don't want to go back and listen to it. I don't want to look at reviews. And the ones that I have and that I wasn't 100% proud of when I put it out there just eats at me.
But I wonder if you would have never released it, if you never would have seen that review, would your feelings still be the same? Like, would you still be proud of it? Would you be like, yeah, it was a good episode? Does it take somebody to kind of chip away at that?
I don't know. I think, I think I'll have those doubts in there. But if they're validated to me by somebody else, if somebody else were to say, you probably could have done this a little bit better, and I already felt that way, that would mean that everybody feels that way, and I need to go take it down immediately.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, and that's horrible, right? Like that sucks. Like, why aren't we allowed to have like a mulligan every once in a while?
But for the most part, any kind of criticism that I've received, and I've received some, I do agree with, but I'm trying to take it more of a constructive way of like, all right, well, you know what? This is a living, breathing thing, and the next one I do will be a little bit better.
But that's good though. So you're using that to actually push yourself forward.
I'm trying.
What gets me more is that comparison to other people. Like there's people like David Fincher. I know that I will never be anywhere near as good of a filmmaker as David Fincher. Like David Fincher, his worst ideas are probably better than my best idea on my best day. But there's also other people though where you just like look at it and you're like, man, why can't I make it like them? Or I'll hear the absolute perfect joke. I'll be like, holy shit, I will never be talented enough to write that joke. That is a perfect joke. It landed with the best punchline. And that's the stuff I beat myself up over. And I don't know if that's because deep down I think to myself, well, you know what? I am on their level. I just can't admit it to myself. So I get angry, or if it's just pure jealousy. I don't know what it is, but that drives a lot of what I do.
I mean, is it jealousy, or is it just that, going back again to just feeling like you're a fraud or just not good enough? Like I can't. Is it so much that you're jealous that person could come up with that joke, or are you just pissed off that you didn't?
I think I'm pissed off that I didn't. But again, I put it back down to either intelligence or talent. They said like I'm not smart enough to come up with that joke. That's a clever joke. But then when you think about it, it's like, well, yeah, Conan O'Brien went to Harvard. Of course, his joke that he just had is clever. You did not go to Harvard. I was watching Tucker, A Man in His Dream, a Francis Ford Coppola movie last night, and he did this amazing transition where Jeff Bridges was sitting down at home, and then he got up, walking upstairs, and he's in his office. Then it was just this beautiful transition, and I just thought to myself, like, man, I probably would have never thought of a transition like that. Well, I'm a fucking idiot. And then I stopped and I said to myself, like, well, Francis Ford Coppola, of course. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's right. Getting that good, though. I get so impressed by those things. And it's a horrible critical flaw, but I don't look at anything else in life. Like, I don't look at, like, a meal somebody made and be like, oh, God, why couldn't I have made that? Or I don't look at, like, a really good-looking dude and being like, oh, God, why can't I be that good-looking? It just happens to be, like, this creative stuff. Yeah, and just this stuff. I can't paint for crap, and I can look at a really nice painting and be like, that's amazing. That's good on them. I can hear a good song and be like, that's awesome. Bob Dylan. I love Bob Dylan. And I've never once thought to myself, why can't I write like him? But it's just when it comes to film and video and that stuff, that's what gets me.
Well, has anybody ever told you, like, holy shit, I never would have thought to do that with your work?
They have. And I usually just chalk that up to like, here's my thing. Every critique that somebody has, you're just being nice. I'm a nice guy, and you just want to be nice to me. Every single thing that everybody's ever said to me. I don't think I've ever once been like, yeah, you know what? I agree with you. It's just always, thank you. It was very nice of you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So when you run into Francis Ford Coppola and you tell him about that transition and how much you admire it, he's going to say, yeah, well, no shit. I'm fucking Francis Ford Coppola. What do you think I'm going to do?
I would be disappointed if he didn't. If he just looked down on me. Thanks. Like, I need your approval. I'm sure those guys are the same way. I mean, I don't know.
I think they probably are.
Humphrey Bogart was like famously. Humphrey Bogart always thought, oh my God, he always thought that his last movie was literally going to be his last movie. He literally thought he was one of the worst actors of all time.
I think that's probably true among, I don't know, but I would imagine it's probably true among a lot of creatives in your field.
Yeah. There's, do you have Disney Plus? I know we're, but if you get a chance, watch the Imagineers documentary that's on there. It's really good. In the first episode, they literally start from the beginning as to building the Disneyland and stuff like that. But then when they talk about Disney World and how he had to like mortgage all this stuff, he had to take out all these loans. And they said, and at 52, I'm like, holy shit, he was doing all this when he was 52, and he thought that it was like the end of the world. He was just like convinced he was afraid of failing. And I just sat there and thought to myself, like, holy crap, this was after the dude made Bambi, after he made Snow White, after he made millions of dollars being Walt Disney. He was still anxious, right? Like,
Right.
he
Yeah.
was Disney, and he was still afraid of failing. It's just crazy to me. I feel like I'm the one with the problem. Nobody else can have this problem. It's all
Yeah, now you're pissed that other people have that problem.
exactly. Why can't I be as anxious as that person? Oh, they do it so much better than me. It's just great talking about this. So
No, I mean, I think it's a good topic. I mean, the dark shit is where the creativity comes from, and from where the stuff that you love doing, it's born out of that. And the podcast is called Caught by Happy. It's come to be about people who have kind of set aside all of what they are supposed to be doing and instead doing what they love to do. Whatever repercussions come from that, be damned. Because you have to do it. There's no other choice. You have to do it.
You're right, because you're an incomplete person. I myself will be an incomplete person if I didn't do what I did, and I know that would cause me to be resentful to my family. And I think my kids would grow up with a father that was never happy. Even though I'm always still chasing something, I can quote unquote hold my head up high and tell them, like, yeah, if you want to do something, you go do it. You try it, and you find that maybe you'll fail at it, or maybe you'll find something else that you want to do. But don't settle for just the status quo. Don't settle for just doing that cubicle job if your heart isn't into that. And maybe I have a friend that I don't want to say they live in squalor, but like their spouse jumps from job to job because he full time does filmmaking. It's not the most comfortable life that they lead, but they all believe in him, and he believes in himself, and he's done tons of films, and his movies have played places. So that's a level that I don't think I could do.
It's the level that you can do, and how happy you are doing it.
And that's the thing. I'm very happy. Deep down, I'm very happy with what I do. If you were to push all my insecurities aside, like, I think I have a fantastic life. It would be nice not to think I'm going to die every day. I know this is what's going to happen too, is that I'm going to live to be like 99 the last months of my life. I'm going to be like, why did I worry?
The last couple of months of your life, are like, now can I die? Jesus, what's taking so long? I was supposed to have a heart attack at 47. Oh, man. You want to talk about anxiety? The other night, this was 2 nights ago, I woke up and let me preface this. I had read a passage of a book a few years ago that sticks with me. And it was written by somebody who lost their husband to a heart attack in the middle of the night. She talked about what his symptoms were. And, he was nauseous and he was throwing up, but I didn't think anything of it. He was just getting sick. Eventually, he ends up dying in bed. 2 nights ago, I was sick and nauseous, and that's it. I was having a heart attack. Like, I was going to die. I went downstairs. I put on my Apple Watch. I was doing the EKG thing. I'm like, what? When do I call? I'm going to die. I'm going to die right now. My kids are going to have no father. My wife's going to have to figure, I don't have insurance. How's she going to pay for the funeral? I mean, I was up all night thinking about the fact that I was going to have a heart attack and I was probably going to die, and that my kids were going to be fatherless.
So much of that's governed so much of my life, especially my kids being fatherless. Like, my kids are young, they're going to grow up without a father. Like, holy shit, I can't believe that there's this idea that I'm going to let my kids down by me dying, right? And I'm going to change their whole future. They'll never forgive me for that. And that sucks. And just like you're saying, like, it's little stuff like that sticks in my mind. So if I'll have like a really bad headache, I will seriously freak out. I'll have a panic attack, and I'll tell my wife, I definitely have something wrong. I'm either having a stroke or a tumor. And she goes, no, you don't. You're fine. And all I'll say is, like, yeah, but you know what? You read about that in the obituary. Like, he went to bed thinking he had a headache, and next thing you know, a tumor exploded or an aneurysm exploded in your brain. So I use those, just like you're doing, those little stories that you read about. You never read about the man had heart attack, is saved, and then wakes up the next morning. It's just
man was nauseous in the middle of the night, and he's fine today.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's always man stubs toe, gangrene sets in. That sucks, man. It sucks. Kevin Smith had that heart attack last year. When he had that heart attack, it changed my life, and like, I completely changed my lifestyle, my eating habits. For like 3 months, I was just like the healthiest I ever been. I was like fantastic. Life was going great. Like, my blood sugar was low. And then something happened that just derailed. I was eating like no carbs. I felt great. I was at like my lowest weight since I was like 6. it was great. And then just I got derailed, and it bums me out because it's like, man, I had it. I was going good, and Kevin Smith is still going today. But like that's a great one where you're just like, yeah, he was supposed to die and he didn't.
He's still pretty thin, right? Like he's still living a healthy life.
I think he does. He became a vegan, but yeah, he's like super thin and he's still strong. So I guess that kind of hope, but that's one person and millions. People die all the time. Like those. Do you remember a couple years ago that sniper in Washington?
Yeah, there was God, it was a while ago. Yeah, like 15 years ago. Yeah.
Holy shit, was it that long?
2003-ish, maybe.
Well, okay, so like those, I think he killed like 8 people or something.
Yeah.
Those 8 people never thought they would die by a sniper that day.
Oh, pumping gas.
Exactly. And that scares the hell out of me, the randomness of life. You're right, just pumping gas. And next thing you know,
instead of thinking about I'm going to die from a heart attack, just you got to put that into your head too, that you might die by a random gunshot at some point. If you're not anxious enough already, now you'll just be scared to leave your house.
But why can't I just be like, I'm afraid of dying in like a Red Dawn scenario? I'm afraid of dying because
that'll make
50
you
terrorists.
Because that'll make you schizophrenic.
yeah, that's true. I'm just doomed to be crazy one way or another. Sorry that this was so long.
No, it's fine. Thanks for taking the time. I really appreciate you taking your time out of your day at work. But real quick though, if anybody wants to check out anything, you told us where we could possibly find the Empire State ride video.
Yeah, if you look on Zebra Tape, Vimeo.com/Zebra Tape, you'll see like all my old stuff.
All right, man. Don't give up the dream. Don't stop doing the personal stuff. I mean, I know you're kicking butt at Roswell, but keep doing the personal stuff too and creating for yourself, not just for Roswell, even though they're a very worthy company and organization.
They are, but sometimes I just want to go out and make porn. It was nice to catch up too.
Yeah, it was.
It's nice to hear that you're doing well. That makes me happy. Your family looks great, man. You're cute as hell kids.
Thank you. You're not really out there on social too much, are you?
I don't have my kids up there, no. I don't think I've ever put a picture of my kids up there.
Yeah, that's smart.
You know what? It got to be, it was going to be something where like, we'll ask them later on if they want to do it. But then the TV show happened and I was afraid of people like,
oh yeah, that makes sense.
Seeing that. And then just as of now, like they don't care. They don't care if they're online or not. And I mean, like they don't have friends that are really on Facebook. My daughter's never asked me, can I have a Facebook account? So
how old are they?
My daughter is 10 and my son is 8.
Well, they wouldn't want Facebook anyways. They'd be all about TikTok.
She is. We don't let her post, but she watches TikTok all.
Oh, Jesus, really?
All the time. But she's like, she knows. She never made anything for it. She's very good.
Seen the stuff on TikTok?
I saw the stuff on Musical.ly, and I was pretty concerned about that. But she's shown me it. Like she's shown me the stuff that they watch, and I haven't seen anything bad yet. Oh. At the worst I've seen is like somebody say shit. Oh,
okay. Well,
is it bad?
Look, I don't know. I'm 41. I don't look at TikTok.
Sure.
All right, man. I appreciate you taking the time.
No, I appreciate this. Thank you so much. Hopefully I can chat with you again, and we'll be another 20 or so years.
Next time I'm up, maybe in the summer.
Yeah, please. I definitely treat you a beer.
Cool.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
It's a weird bye.
Bye. Well, there it is. That's the talk with Tony. We certainly got into it, didn't we? We talked about depression and anxiety and everything you want to talk about right before the holidays, right? Yeah, right before you go have a dinner with your family and your friends. That's exactly what you want to be thinking about. No, I think it was a good talk with Tony. A really good chat. Really interesting to me how he battles these inner demons or whatever you want to call them. But he's still out there fighting the good fight and making great stuff. And that's a lesson for all of us, right? Listen to that voice inside you. Do what you want to do. Follow your dreams. Follow what you love. Go find your passion and execute on it. And, take your Xanax. All right, everybody. We're going to be gone for a couple of weeks, but we'll get back into it then. Have a happy Thanksgiving, and I'll see you next time in my holiday sweater. Damn itchy thing. Caught by Happy is a production of Harrington Communications Consultants. If you need anything in the way of strategic communications, content marketing, public relations, or social media, hit us up at harringtoncc.net, and we will get you straight. Bye.